For the past couple weeks, I've been thinking about a SQL question I saw for an interview, and it's centered around baseball, and it's just been like on my brain for this whole time, and I want to talk about how I'm going to solve it. I just think it's a really interesting question about the layers and how one more addition to it makes it so much more complex. Here's a question. For each year since 1930, give the MLB player with the most home runs from each league. Okay, straightforward. Please include league, team, and batting average. If a player played on more than one team in a season, give the team information for the last team he played for. For example, if a player gets traded from the National League to the American League, his home run total will be considered in the American League. If there's a tie, include the player with the highest number of RBIs, and if there is still a tie, pick the player with the lower player ID. Perfect. So what I want to do is walk through how I would solve this. You can see here I have my little setup, and I kind of redid this up here so we can kind of keep that top of mind as we're looking. Here is the table we're going to be using. It's called batting, and you have a player ID, we have a year ID, stint. Stint is going to tell us things about when they go to a different team in that same year. So that's really important to help us figure out where they are across the different years. Team ID, league ID, NA for National League, I believe AA for American League. Let's see if I can find, I can't see it. Okay. Games, at-bats, runs, doubles, triples, home runs, blah, 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 blah. Great. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is start to narrow it down, because what we want, and we want year ID greater than 1929. This is going to, I'm just going to put a limit in here just to show you how I want to work with a couple values. Great. So we're starting in 1930. We already see one stint. Allen T01 goes on another stint, still in the same league. The thing I want to do is actually start with this clause. If the player was on more than one team, give the team info for the last team he played. For example, if traded, consider to the American. What this is going to do, what I'm going to do is make a window function. So let's do select star from batting. I'll put this first. Select star. Some home run. Order by stint ascending. So let's try that. This should give me kind of a running total of their home runs. So let's start to find people who have home runs with them. So then let's do this. I'm going to add a second window function, and it's going to be row number. I'm just going to use this again. I'm going to use the same partition by clause. Instead of stint ascending, I'm going to do stint descending. That way, our one row number will be the last value. Great. So let's do this. I'm going to wrap this up. With roll over as blank. rollover. Let's give her a number. That's my roll num. Home run total. Where 1 equals 1 and roll num equals 1. Run it. Okay, so now we should have, if we see a stint that is not a 1, we should not see. So we do not have, for example, here, we only have his 2016 value, and things should be rolling over. Great. That should be our everyone's new home run totals for the year. So let's do this. Select do a dense rank. Over, let's put my partition back. All right, so that is my ranking, home run total, and this should go up. We have our American League first, 1930, and it's a dense rank, so that way people are going to have the same rank. That is to make sure if we get 2 number 1s, we're not worried about that. All right, and we jump down to National League after that, 1930. Great, great, great. So let's close that up, and I can start filtering this. Let's change this dense rank to home run rank. No, I already used that. Home run rankings. Let's change home run ranked. And rankings equals 1. All right, what do we get now? Boom, we have all of our home run rankings, home run totals. We don't need a rollover number right now. So we can start to see, we have the years, we have league IDs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start to clean this up. Let's get different columns. How about home run total? Player ID. League ID. Let's try just that right now and see what that looks like. All right, beautiful. Here's our home run totals. Here are the players. And what I'm going to start looking for, is there anybody that has two of the same year in the same division? Oh, perfect. In 1932, we have two people tied. So this is a great example. But we need to start looking at our tiebreaker. Our tiebreaker is going to be RBIs, and that's going to be a totally different ranking system. So we'll go back and clean that up. And you can see we go through all these different teams. I'm looking, just visually checking. We're looking for AL, NL, AL, NL, kind of a repeating pattern. If we see not that, that means we know we have another tie. Another tie right here. Great. So let us figure out our tiebreaker real quick. I'm going to follow a very similar rule of thumb. So let me actually look at something real quick. RBIs. See if I can find somebody's stint. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to make another one of these, but for RBIs. Select some, I believe it's just RBI. RBI, player ID, we'll call it RBI total over stint. Oops, copied the select. So, RBI total or home run ranking is equal to 1. Here are the RBI totals. Quick check. I'm really curious to see how these RBIs look different. Because here's my thinking while I'm doing this. We're looking at home run leaders on teams, and the clause is asking for, if they get traded, to roll that over. But when would a home run leader be traded? I think that's a really edge case. So it looks like all these RBI totals are going to match up. I'm trying to see if there's any sort of discretion. It probably doesn't hurt to run this with it. But the idea of the rollover is a very small edge case problem to solve. How about this? RBI total minus RBI. I'm just looking for not a 0. Oh. 81. All right. Row 55, we have a case of rollover. Well, great. Okay. So we'll keep that. So where are we in the question? We have the player rolled over. If tie, RBI is 1. So I'm going to do another rank. Partition by year ID and league ID. Order by RBI total. Descending. So here's one of our ties, and we can see we get him instead of Babe Ruth. So what I'm going to do here is call this, let's do comma, tiebreakers as this. Select star from tie RBI, where tie RBI equals 1. And we'll see what we get. Boom. So we have 184 rows. 184 rows. Our data gets to 2021. Off the top of my head, I think that is correct. 1930 to 2021, including 1930, is, yeah, double that, we get to 184. So this should be our answer right here. Problem is, this is a little unwieldy, and our problem asked for a few things to be a little bit cleaner. So we need league, team, and batting average. So let's do player ID. Year ID, league ID. I'm going to leave off the batting average right now. I just think that's not super important to the question. Team ID. So what does this look like? Oh, well, let's put their home runs in there too. We'll do something like team, league, okay. And what do we get? Here's our player. AL, NL, AL, NL. Home runs, home runs. And so what this looks like is good to me. What I'm going to do is actually bring in another table. So this is another table. It's called people table. And what I'm going to do is use the player ID, and I'm going to get their names. Name first, name last. Let's go tiebreakers T, people P, on P, player ID equals T, player ID. Can't P. Name first, comma, comma, name last. Oops. Okay. Great. I'm gonna order by year ID. That just feels right to me. Babe Ruth, Hank Wilson. There's our home runs. Great. So here is our final output. we can see we have 184 rows of data. And let me shrink this. You can see this query kind of grew and grew and grew. And we ended up with 3 CTEs where we did a lot of window functions. We have a sums to sum window functions, row number. The row number was to get our last value. We kind of used it backwards, descending. Then we did some ranking. We did some dense rank. We did some not dense ranks. And then finally, we spat out a table that gave us our answer top to bottom. It is probably a better way to do this. There's a million ways to do almost any SQL one, but this is the one how I thought about it when I was working on it. And I wanted to share with you guys. If you have a better idea, please let me know. And good luck.